YouTube! Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, ladies and gentlemen of Total War, welcome back to Total War Rome 2, where I wish you a fine what the crap's going on this evening. Yeah, and it's probably not evening for most of you, it's probably morning when you're watching this, I guess. Maybe it's evening. Works out. So, I've got a couple of replays from you. They are from Blademaster, who has the channel Wolf Total War. I keep saying I'm going to put a link to it, and I always forget. But if you all are clever, you'll look at the comments whenever I forget and see that he usually leaves a comment on said video, so you can just click his name and, you know, go through to it. Anyway, yeah, so he sent me these shortly after Obelix sent me the Attila replay. This is not Obelix playing against him, though. This is Wolf of Remus versus another player who's Iraklis, and last time I saw he was in what I guess they called the Greek clan. So Wolf of Remus is, or Blademaster is what he goes by a lot of times. I'm going to call him Blademaster. He's going against Iraklis in this tournament that he hosted. And I guess just to kind of bring you up to speed on the rules, he does what he likes to call unit band tournaments. I've seen him do this one before, though. This one's a little bit different sounding than what I had seen previously. And basically, whenever you do the unit band tournament, you can pick a faction, and basically the other player can then ban a couple of units from that faction's roster. And so it makes you have to think, you know, if I pick such and such faction, what would they ban, and then what would I do to get around it? So it basically means you need to know each faction and kind of know what some of their strong units and weak units are and how it might help you. So first game that he played against Iraklis, you can see that Blademaster has chosen Rome. Iraklis chooses Pontus. And Blademaster does say in the email he's not sure that Iraklis understood the rules because the units he banned were quite odd. He banned Generals and Bodyguard and Evocati. Now the General and Bodyguard is an odd one, and Evocati is also an odd one, because Veteran Legionaries are basically the same thing for slightly less money. So I have to admit it is an odd pick. But then Blademaster turns and bans from Pontus Scythe Chariots and Horse Archers. That is a pretty good neutering of Pontus, almost quite literally. That's pretty brutal. So we're going to watch the replay, see how this turns out. You will notice there was like the little warning symbol because I'm actually playing this in the patch 17 beta. This was actually probably played before that patch by Iraklis and Blademaster, but whenever I revert from the patch 17 beta, my game crashes a lot. So it's not so good. Let's take a look at the armies to start things off. So Blademaster's over here with Rome. He's got a Vigiles up front. Infantry line, I see two Hastati, one on either flank. Not surprisingly, we're going to see, let's see, it looks like I see 5 veteran legionaries and 1 armored legionary in his main line. He's going to have 3 auxiliary Balearic slingers, 2 gladiator spearmen, and a legatus. And then it looks like 4 Soki Equites. Soki Equites, however you pronounce it. And over here we can see not all of the troops of Iraklis, and that's because some of his troops are hidden to Blademaster's view. In the back, though, we can see several Noble Blood Cav, and let's see, Cappadocian, Noble Blood. So there's probably another Cappadocian out here. We can see a Bronze Shield Pikeman, which means there's probably others. Yep, so there's probably several of these guys. Well, I say there's probably. I know what there is. I didn't watch the whole replay, but what I did was I went to the replay. Blademaster has actually posted these on his channel. And the reason why I went and looked rather than just going straight through is I wanted to make sure that when I played this on the patch 17 beta, I got the same result that Blademaster does on his channel. But feel free to go watch the video on his channel as well. I will do my best to remember to link it so that you can go check it out. We can see 3 Bronze Shield Pikemen. We must assume that he has another one. And I see 2 Eastern Slingers. Those guys usually come in packs of 3 or 4. And then I can see some Mercenary Celtic Warriors and Mercenary Naked Swords, and we can assume that there's going to be more of those. But again, the key units for Pontus, Horse Archers are quite annoying. Though on a wooded map, banning Horse Archers to me would not really be all that, you know, big of a deal. You can pretty easily protect yourself from them on these kind of maps. The Scythe Chariot, probably a good ban on the part of Blademaster. The Romans don't, I mean, they can definitely stop Scythe Chariots, but they don't have like really kind of affordable, easy cav to be used to stop them. So it's easier to just ban them, which I think was a good move. And the pikemen, I'm going to be honest, like just kind of calling this as I see it, bringing pikemen and a competitive play, very risky, especially Bronze Shield pikemen. These guys are pretty expensive. and the Romans are pretty maneuverable. So right off the bat, I would give the advantage to Blademaster here just on unit choice. Now that said, pikes can be used to zone out large areas of the battlefield. So for instance, Blademaster's not going to want to go head-on anywhere along here, and it's going to give cover to the naked swords and soft units of Iraklis. So I definitely see his reasoning, and we will see how he determines that he's going to use it. And indeed, we see more Eastern Slingers pop up. We're seeing 4 Eastern Slingers trading fire with 3 mercenary Balearic Slingers that Blademaster has. And both player has some of their Slingers within the wood line, which is going to give them cover. Now, if you're wanting to tell where the wood line ends and where it begins, don't necessarily just look at the terrain. If you use your mouse pointer, you can see the little tree next to my mouse pointer. When that goes away, you've left the cover of the woodland. So like this unit here is actually experiencing open ground fire. This unit, however, if we take a look, is... it's kind of in between. It's hard to say. It's probably experiencing cover in the woods, and this unit is most likely experiencing it as well. I don't know if it goes by, like, if the unit... I don't know if it's just like an on or off decision by the engine in Total War, like you're either in wood cover or you're not, or if it can be partial wood cover for part of the unit or not. So, again, I don't really know exactly how that piece works. If someone knows, they can make a comment about it, but... Oh, wow. There's 5 Bronze Shield Pikemen, his general being one of them. Whew, that's a risky spot for your general. If I was playing against Rome, I'd probably want my general in a Pontic Royal Cavalry. That's just me. That can be risky too, I suppose, but having him in a Bronze Shield Pikeman would worry me a great deal. Blademaster just going to be really annoying with this unit of Vigiles to try and screw up the advance of the Pikemen and threaten the Slingers and try and push them back, so that's a good use. The Eastern Slingers will trade pretty well with the Balearic Slingers. The Balearic Slingers would probably win in just an open ground one-on-one fight. This was pretty interesting here. Blademaster runs up. He's using the Caesar abilities, and he uses Presence, which helps with recharge rate. He's trying to get his quick reload back quicker. That's a pretty clever move. Most people, well, I say most people, most heir of Carthages, which is me, and me alone. Don't know why I said it that way, just for fun, I guess. But I always forget to use Presence to the end of the battle, and I just like use it for the sake of using it. And it really doesn't do any good for hardly any Roman units because almost none of them have special abilities except for like Praetorian Guard and I think Praetorians. So using it for his skirmishers is actually a pretty good plan, and I think that was a smart move by Blademaster. Yeah, you can see a pretty nice trade so far for the Eastern Slingers. They've killed a number of Balearic Slingers in a couple of units. And they've lost 1 unit, but it'll probably come back and be able to be used again. It looks like Iraklis is kind of wanting to push. You can see him putting a pike push up front here. Being spread out like this is going to help him in a couple of ways, but it's also going to hurt him in a couple of ways. One, it's going to make his pikes very unwieldy and unmaneuverable, but it's going to make it a little harder for the Romans to get on his flanks, and it's also going to minimize the javelin fire damage by spreading his men wide. So the damage from the Roman pillow will be somewhat minimized, and he's kind of going for like an old school kind of phalanx charge type charge deal here. But then to kind of back it up, he's going to bring naked swords, it looks like, from behind and try and come through the phalanx to help do some killing. And basically the pikes will kind of help hold these veteran legionaries at bay while the mercenary swords do some work. This is a viable strategy. I've seen people combine pike and sword units before. It is not necessarily very easy to pull off. I wouldn't say that it's a good strategy for new players or players who are learning to control their units, but I have seen players successfully use it before, though I would say that it's probably more difficult than it is to be in Blademaster's position. But again, how a player uses his troops and how a player plays is not always predictable. And over here you can see that so far a pretty good engagement for Greek Iraklis. He's got a pretty good chance on this flank. Scout Equites, I'm thinking Attila. These Soki Equites are going to be flanked by mercenary naked swords, which is going to hurt them pretty badly. This gladiator spearman is getting torn up by sword units, though it probably is getting some nice kills on these noble blood cav and the Cappadocian cav. It's not getting a lot, but it's in there. If its morale breaks, that's going to be its biggest problem. And it's now going to be exhausted because it used Killing Spree. Over here we got some more cavalry and pike action in this engagement. Some Hastati, veteran legionaries all be thrown in by Blademaster. This flank I would actually say is looking pretty good for Blademaster. But this flank over here I think is actually looking pretty good for Greek Iraklis. The cavalry of Blademaster is getting overwhelmed, and there's a whole Cappadocian cavalry unit free, and that Cappadocian cav can now start swinging around and potentially getting rear charges here. So I like Blademaster's right flank in favor of Iraklis, and I'm going to say Blademaster's left flank over here is looking to be in favor of Blademaster. He's actually got some units free trying to work around the flank here too, though Iraklis is putting a pretty hard push on him here with some mercenary Celtic warriors, but the veteran legionaries will probably be able to stop them. I don't know though, that's a full unit of Celtic warriors, and they got a nice charge on the veteran legionaries, which is now wavering. If they rout it, that's going to be huge for Iraklis. Oh wow, they did. That was huge. Big time move there. You can see Iraklis is keeping his pikes very close to the swords, and it's actually allowing them to get a few kills. You'll see that none of them are racking up amazing. Well, that's some pretty dang good kills for a pike unit, I'm not going to lie. Most of them did not get good kills, but it allowed the pikes to get a few kills. His general even manages to get 50 some odd kills, which again for a pike unit isn't bad, though it's not cost effective, and unfortunately that means the general of Iraklis is going to die here. And now it is possible that this replay is slightly different than what happened in the actual battle, because it is being done in a different patch. But I'll kind of at the end tell you, you can go to Blademaster's video and look at it if you want to get it more precisely. But from what I saw, the outcome is pretty much the same in the battles. So right now, though, this one is actually kind of still up in the air. You've got these veteran legionaries here for Blademaster. There's 2 of them on this flank. You got a Hastati out here, Soki Equite, which is going to go start chasing slingers. And over here, though, you got a Cappadocian cavalry and a mercenary Celtic warrior. The Celtic warrior is wavering. It may have been attacked in the rear or something. If it routs, it's going to be problematic for Iraklis. But the Roman legatus is dying here, and losing him would not be real great for Blademaster. This flank is indeed turning out in favor of Iraklis for now. There's not much that these armored legionaries can do. If they run away, they're going to be chased by mercenary Celtic warriors. So they're kind of stuck fighting on the front of pikes. And then Iraklis is going to use some charges here to try and kill these units. He gets a nice charge as the gladiator spearman was trying to enter square, and then he hits the Hastati from behind as well. So that's going to do morale damage. And this armored legionary was actually just wavering as well, and it's now open to rear charges. So we'll get down in here and see. Well, no, the Hastati's still alive out here. I'm sure that he'll probably go after them some more. Saki Equite is trying to chase down these eastern slingers. That's a good move on the part of Blademaster. He wants to get them off the field. They're actually pretty dangerous units in the late game if they maintain their ammo. Cappadocian Cav still free here. The Roman legatus is down to one man, and presumably the general's already dead. And if he's not, this one man is likely to die in this engagement. I don't know how it hasn't routed yet. That's pretty impressive for a legatus to be fighting down to 1 man. Again, though, that may not have happened exactly this way. So the Roman general's off the field. We can see there's 1 veteran legionary, another one here, a 3rd one here. The Soki Equites are actually dying to the slingers, who are presumably shooting it while it attacks 1 unit. So he's got some gladiator spearmen, 3 veteran legionaries. He's about to lose an auxiliary Balearic slinger here, which does still have ammo left, so that kind of sucks for Blademaster. Otherwise, that could be a pretty handy unit. So this game's actually looking very possible for Iraklis to win here. He's got this pike unit, so let's make that 3 pike units, and a mercenary Celtic warrior, noble blood cav, Cappadocian cav. So yeah, this is looking kind of rough for Blademaster, to be quite honest, though some of the units he has left are pretty tough. These 3 veteran legionaries are tough units, and even the Hastati can punch pretty good for its weight. As you can see, it's racked up 109 kills. 159 kills on that veteran legionary, 87 there, and 109 on this unit that still has 97 men left. So they're obviously quite capable units. A couple of eastern slingers left over here. Don't know if these guys have ammo. They don't have their daggers out, so they very well could. Let's look at the engagement. Blademaster comes in here against some mercenary Celtic warriors. The Celtic warriors are going to have a nice charge. Quick flanking charge by Iraklis. Nice work. So these veteran legionaries are going to take a pretty good beating here. The charge would have gone to the Celtic warriors, and then the rear charge from the cavalry will help swing that fight quickly in favor of Iraklis. If this unit routs, it's going to be big big problems for Blademaster. Ooh, that is rough. And now the pikes are here. So the Celtic warriors don't get the best of charges, but now the pikes can kind of just encircle and ensnare Pontic units. And the Hastati here kind of have a difficult choice. Does he go around and try and flank? But if he's not braced, the cavalry will destroy those somewhat light units. You got the gladiator spearmen here, which is probably just a medium spear, yep. And Hastati's probably a medium infantry as well. Yep. And these heavy cavalry that are roaming around out here, just by weight, will really smash up those lighter units. The trees and the wood cover will help a little bit against cav charges, but unbraced gladiator spearmen are going to take a walloping from cavalry, and pretty much the same thing from Hastati. And in Rome 2, you don't get near as much penalty for pulling out of a cav fight, so it is indeed very possible to cycle charge quite a lot and quite successfully. So Blademaster is definitely trying to outflank, and he's even getting rid of one bronze shield pikeman, and he's bringing in another veteran legionary unit here. But now the cavalry of Iraklis kind of being activated. This pikeman's still alive, and it looks like he's swinging around a rear charge into these Hastati. They ought to be a pretty squishy target, fairly ripe for destruction. These gladiator spears are about to take a rear charge from the other noble blood cav, and that will probably pretty much disintegrate them. And if Iraklis is able to get rid of these units, this ought to swing pretty quickly in his favor. He just put a rear charge penalty on that veteran legionary with that charge, as well as hitting the gladiator spearmen in the back, so that was doubly good for Iraklis. And this veteran legionary is trying to push on this pikeman. It's just not happening very quickly, and Iraklis is kind of just sitting on an extra Cappadocian cav out here. He's going to go ahead and pull out of this fight, which is definitely going to hurt this noble blood cav a little, but it's the right decision. And that gladiator spear is gone. These pikes can now re-engage the other direction into the veteran legionaries, and this fight is very much looking good for Iraklis at this point. I'm sure Blademaster is probably upset by having lost this as far as a Rome versus Pontus, and especially considering the units that were banned. I'm guessing that he was feeling pretty confident at the beginning of this game, and maybe he wasn't. I'm just making an assumption here. I don't live in Blademaster's mind. So yeah, I'm sure he could probably make some funny jokes out of that one. I'm guessing everybody's glad that Air doesn't live in their mind, and Air's glad that he doesn't live in your mind as well. So yeah, it's going to be a close game, everything said and done here, but definitely a nice win by Iraklis here, using the pikes somewhat successfully to help get rid of the more maneuverable Roman infantry, not something that we're going to see very often on Rome 2. Pikes are generally very difficult to use, and you can see why. Only 2 of his pikemen really got any number of kills. The others were definitely not hitting at their cost range where they should have been. Very nice return, though, on Celtic warriors. These are some great units. Naked warriors, or naked swords, I like these guys. They're good units. Very deadly on the charge, but outside of the charge, they're extremely weak versus Roman units because they have no armor and pretty much no melee defense to speak of, other than a shield, kind of. So they have a great charge, and they're good in rear charges, but otherwise I usually prefer the Celtic warriors. I think you get a little more bang for your buck out of them, but if it's still the case, these guys are way too cheap for Pontus, and that might be why he brought them, because you don't have to get many kills to make them worth it. If we look at the veteran legionaries of Blademaster, the armored legionaries definitely did not get as many kills as they were capable of. 2 of his veteran legionaries, or 3 of them, hitting quite well, 2 of them not. Vigile was never intended to get kills. Gladiator Spearmen actually pulled a decent number of kills here, and the Balearic Slingers did okay-ish. His cavalry, 1 unit killed some slingers. Otherwise, his cavalry ended up getting mopped up by the much heavier, more powerful Pontic cav, and you can see that Blademaster was at a cavalry disadvantage in this game. And in Rome 2, though, being at a cavalry disadvantage, well, no one ever likes it, but it's not the end of the world quite like it is in Attila, where it's going to be extremely dangerous, because infantry kind of still reigns supreme in Rome 2. I would rather have an infantry spam than a cav spam if I was in Rome 2, whereas I would say the opposite very much in Attila. But anyway, great game to both players. It was fun. Definitely enjoyed watching this one. I love just being on Rome 2 in general. I haven't had the chance to get you more replays of my own on here recently, so I definitely appreciate Blademaster sending this over. Give him a thanks in the comments if you want. I would appreciate it if you did, though I'm not requiring you to, obviously, to watch the video. Like I said, Obelix gave us the last one, very kind of him. Blademaster gave us this one so that we can keep the great online content coming to you, even though I don't necessarily always have time to play it myself. Even though I really do like to play it, especially Rome 2. I love the multiplayer on this game. Anyway, I will bring you the second match soon enough, and I hope you all enjoy that one too. HeirofCarthage, signing off for now. See you then.